Hi there, I'm Nicole from Growing in Suburbia. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I wanted to talk to you about natural dyeing with avocado skins. I love working with fabric. I sew a lot, and when I first heard about people using them to dye their fabric, I was so intrigued. It sounds like so much fun and a really cool thing to do, and it also means that you can use those avocado skins and the stones that we all have for one more thing. To make something really nice before you have to put them into the compost, which is always a win in my book. So this is a bit of a longer project, so make sure you watch the whole video through before you start so you know all the things that you need and how to plan your time best. And I'll give you a quick rundown of all the tools you need, all the materials that you need, and how to sort of some techniques to basically achieve the best results you can. And then in the end, we're going to look at all the different things you can do, and I'll show you the outcomes of the fabrics that I have used and the techniques that I have used. Now, before we start with the actual dyeing, we need to make sure we have all our tools and get our fabric prepared. So first things first, we need avocado skins and pips. I keep mine in this bag in the freezer. And I just, once I'm done with an avocado, give it a little clean, pop it in, and it's ready for when you need it. You can also keep them in the pantry. You need to just make sure that they are dry and don't get moldy or anything like that. I will be using about 5. That means 5 of the stones in the middle and 5 to 10 skins as well for this project. Now, it depends on how much fabric you're using, how big your pot is, and how dark you want it. If you want it darker, you will have to add more. Between 5 and 15 somewhere is a good spot. As I said, I'll be about the 5. Maybe I'll put a little bit more in as I see it. But I don't have a lot of fabric this time, so I think that'll be enough. If you have a large pot, you just have to put more in, and that's great to experiment with. The next thing we need is our fabric. Now, for this we need natural fabric. And we're going to be using cotton. Polyester is not going to work. Best is a cotton that is white. If you have that, that's great. It will take the dye the best. I have a drill fabric. I also have a small piece of calico that I will put in so you can see what that looks like. You have to make sure to pre-wash all the fabric you're going to be using, so that it is free of any factory finishes and stuff like that. So now that we've got all of our tools together and our fabric is ready to go, I want to just take a little bit of time before we head to the dye. Now, this step is optional and you can absolutely leave it out, and your avocado fabric will be just as good and it won't fade quickly or anything like that. However, I really enjoy playing with this a little bit sometimes, so it is a really nice thing to do if you would like to add some more dimension to your fabric. So I want to talk about mordants for a moment. Mordants are dye fixatives. They help the color bind to the fabric. Excuse me. Some really common ones are copper, alum, and iron. You can use any of those. However, I want to focus on something that's a lot easier and accessible, which is soy milk. It is not, strictly speaking, a mordant. However, with our cotton fabric, it fills the same sort of space. It still helps the fabric absorb the color more readily. It makes it a little bit darker. And what I really like to do is just play with it a little bit. So I'm going to show you how to put a pattern on your fabric now, and we're going to do a little bit of an experiment to see how the colors come out with the soy milk, without the soy milk, and we'll, as I said, just do a little bit of something fun. First things first, make sure you cover your work surface. This is my dining table, so I don't really mind if it gets a little bit wet. We are going to need some soy milk. Any will do. You can use a cheap one or whatever you have on hand. We don't need a lot depending on what you want to do. Then we are going to need some paint brushes. Again, whatever you have on hand will do. I'm probably gonna use these little ones from my kids for one of the patterns I want to make. So that is fine. A small container to put the soy milk in. And if you would like to try out putting the whole fabric, soaking it in some soy milk, then you're also going to need a large bowl for that. So I'm going to do that last, and I'm going to start with painting on my fabric. All right, I'm going to start with this one here and put those to the side. So make sure you have them separate in separate layers, otherwise it's going to transfer and just seep through basically. Now I've got my soy milk here, and all I'm gonna do is just like a normal, like as if you were using paint or water, I'm just gonna do some dots, and you can see they kind of spread quite quickly. So don't linger with the paintbrush too long. And just some dabs. And they don't have to be regular at all, they can be however you would like. Just have some fun with it. Okay, now for my last one, I'm gonna soak one of the pieces of fabrics that I have in this soy milk. Here we go. This is looking good. And I'm gonna leave this for a few minutes. So now we're done with putting our soy milk on. I'm gonna go ahead and hang up those pieces of fabric outside to dry. For the soy milk to really absorb, it is best to leave it for a few days before you do anything. However, you can just go ahead, let it dry, and then wash it after right away if you are very keen to get on. I will leave mine for about 5 days before I do anything else with it. So as I said, I'm gonna hang it out, I'm gonna leave it to dry, I'm gonna put it on a shelf for 5 days, and after those 5 days are up, I'm gonna put it in a washing machine with some washing powder, just on a short cycle, maybe 30 minutes, just to wash out all of that soy milk that's still stuck on, because at that point it'll have bound to all of the fibers, so it's okay to do, and it'll still come up the way we want it to. So let's do that, and then we're going to start with our dyeing. So it's a week later now. I've just put my fabrics that I've painted with you into the washing machine to rinse out all that soy milk, and my water's just boiled, so it's ready for dyeing. Okie doke. So I've got all my avocado stones and skins here. I've decided to go with 10 skins, and I think it's 8 of the stones. So you can see it is pretty full, my, I think, 10-liter pot. Just make sure you leave space for your fabric. It will soak up some of the water, of course, but it's important to leave a gap that's big enough to put all your fabric in and not make it all come out. So just remember that. Alright, so I kept the stickers on my avocados. I should probably not do that, but it's not a big deal if they are still on. I'm going to put this back on now, and we're going to simmer it for 40 minutes with the avocado skins and pips in here. And then we're going to go to our next step, which is when we're going to put the fabric in and all of that part. As my avocados are simmering away, I hope you can hear me fine over this, it's a little bit noisy. I just wanted to say, I leave them in for about 40 minutes to simmer. You can shorten that time, you can extend it. It's really just about experimenting. This is the time that I am good with. I've done it a few times and that works well to extract a lot of dye from the skins. However, if you want to do it for less time, that's fine. If you want it more intense, you can try a bit more. There's obviously just like a limited amount of dye that will come out, but it's definitely worth experimenting with the time. Also, I've put mine in now once the water was already boiling. You do not need to wait that long. You can put them in from cold and infuse it. I do recommend the best extraction happens when it is hot. So I do recommend definitely make sure that you boil it for a decent amount of time. If you put them in at the start, still make sure that they are probably maybe 20 minutes or something at boiling or simmering, instead of just infusing them in the cold water, just to get really good results. Oh, look at how dark this is. How amazing. Wow. Okay, this has been simmering for 40 minutes now, so it's ready to go. I'm going to fish out all of the stones and skins first, and then we're going to add our fabric. Now, as I said, I have washed all this fabric, so it's nice and clean and ready to go. It's important to wash off all of the pre-treatments from factories and such like, and it's good to have it damp when it goes in. So I've got this on the side, but let's first fish out all of the other bits. I just want to really quickly have a look at those. So I'm not sure this is coming across quite as well on the camera, but they are gorgeous. Look at the colors. You can see how much more pinky they are. They're also quite hot. But you can see all of those beautiful colors that we've now got in our dye bath. So let's put all our fabric in next. Let's just pop that in. Make sure you're not folding them up, just sort of loosely crumble them and then just pop them in. This is actually looking pretty good. We only have these two bubbles here. There's nothing much I can do about it. It's just air that's trapped. And that's gonna be, the thing is, these are not gonna dye as much, these spots, as the rest of it, because they're not in the dye as much. But for that I brought a cloth. So this is just a cleaning cloth that we use. It's also damp. I will put this on top to weigh it down a little bit. So that's going in first. Here we go. Just mostly also on top of those bubbles so they can be going down a bit more. So we've weighed it down, it's all covered really nicely. Next thing we're going to do is put our lid back on, bring it back to a very gentle simmer. We don't want too many of the air bubbles coming up because that already again traps some air in it, so it won't be submerged all the way. So let's just be like nice and gentle, but still have it on a little bit of a simmer. We're going to set our timer for 45 minutes and then we're going to check in every now and then to make sure it doesn't burn or there's any problem. Don't just leave it and abandon it. Make sure you check in, give it a little stir here and there if you want. Make sure that everything is submerged. And then we're going to check in again. It's finally time. Our 45 minutes are up and this is finished. So I'm going to turn my stove off now. And now we've got a few different options. First things first, number one is you can now take this off the stove, drain it out, give it a rinse, and it's going to be finished and beautiful. Now the second option, if you want a little bit of a more intense color, is leave it. Leave it for 24 hours, leave it until the next day, and once that time is up, drain it, put it in the washing machine or wash it by hand, give it a rinse, hang it up, and it's ready to go. Now the second option will give you a little bit of a more intense color because it just stays in for longer. And the first option means it is a much more subtle color. It's a very delicate kind of pink. Now I'm going to do both because I've marked out a few different fabrics. So I have put everything I want to keep until tomorrow back in, and I have taken out the ones with the squiggles, which are actually still very hot, so be extra careful. I will give you a very quick look at them. This is so cute. Okay. Now they're still wet right now, but you can see the pattern that we made. Isn't that amazing? I love it. And that is the second one. How cool. It's still steaming right now though. Awesome. And this is the plain fabric. Oof, that's very hot. This is the plain fabric that we've dyed pink. So this is a light pink, which is also very beautiful. It's just very, very, very subtle colors. I'll rinse these out now and I'm going to put them on the line. The rest of them are going to stay in here for 24 hours and we're going to check them afterwards. Oh my goodness, did you see that? How amazing. So my fabrics have been in there for 24 hours. It's been a day and I'm ready to get them out now. After I get them out, I'm going to wash them and hang them up straight away so they can dry out and we can see the actual results really properly. But first, let's get them out of there. They all look amazing. Let's check them out after they've been washed. All the fabrics we have dyed are dry now, so let's have a look at them. First we start off with the ones we took out earliest. So right after the boiling was finished, we took out those two. So this is white, just as a reference. That's what the fabric looked like before. It is a little bit hard to see on the camera, but you can see a difference. So this is the very gentle pink, very light, very sort of blush color of the plain fabric. And now in comparison, This is the one that had the squiggles on it. So the darker parts are treated with soy milk, and the lighter parts are the same as this, plain, and they have been removed from the pot right after we finished with the dyeing, when it was still hot. Now next we're gonna move to the other plain fabric. So this is the plain fabric that was in there for another 24 hours to soak. And I will compare this, I will move it over here for 1 second. Oopsie. To compare it to the other ones. So you can see there is a difference. So this is the white. That's the one we removed right away. And this one is the one we removed after 24 hours. Now, the next one, this here is the one we treated with soy milk. And that was also in there for 24 hours. Now you can see it's a little bit uneven. It's got a little bit of a pattern on it. I think that is because I probably did not soak it very evenly. But it is definitely darker than not treating the fabric. And then the next one is the pattern that we made with the dots. So this is the soy milk. And this is the untreated fabric after 24 hours in the dye bath. Now next is, this is just the fabric that I had on top. That was, so this is basically a cloth. It has been washed 100 million times. It is a little bit darker than it looks in the on camera. But you can see that's almost as dark, funnily, almost as dark as the one that we used for the soy milk dye, pre-treatment with soy milk, and this one, they are almost the same sort of value. I don't know why this, as I said, it's been washed 100 million times. I put it in with everything else the same amount of time. Maybe it's just the type of fabric. This is a terry cotton that makes it just more absorbent. Maybe it's because it's been washed so many times that the fibers are really open. I'm not sure, but it's interesting to see. Now the last one here is this one. This is the calico we put in. This is the calico we put in, and it's beautiful. It's like sort of a brownie pink. Those are the ones that we left in for 24 hours, all in one row. And now I would like to show you also some that I have done previously. Now let's move this to the side. Okay, first, this one here is probably about 3 years old. I made it into like a nursing cover back then. But you can see this is also pre-treated with soy milk. And then I left it in the dye bath for the same amount of time and 24 hours. But you can see, hopefully, that this is more of a almost like a yellowy hue in this one, whereas these ones are a lot more pink, pure pink, which is really interesting because the only difference is the type of avocado that I put in. And the last one is this one, which was one that I made very recently. Again, these are all the same fabrics. All the white fabrics are the exact same material. I have a really big bolt of them, so they are all the same. And this is a little bag that I made just a few weeks ago. You can see this is the old one. As I said, this is about 3 years old. This is the one I made a couple of weeks ago, and these are the ones we made just in this batch. And you can see how this is not treated at all. So it should be, let me fix that. So these two guys basically spent the same amount of time in the water, and I believe that I washed them the same after, but I'm not 100% sure. However, you can see how much darker and really intensely pink it is. It is almost the same as the one we pre-treated with the soy milk. Now, the only difference that I think is that I used a lot more avocado skins and stones for this. And that's why it is darker. I don't think I left it in any longer because I usually do the same every time. And it's just the amount of avocados. Now you can see the variety of outcomes we've got here, and you can really achieve different results depending on, as I said, the amount of avocado skins and stones you put in and the time you leave it to soak afterwards. I just find it so amazing that this little fruit makes so many different colors if you just experiment a little bit. Now, I think my favorites are the ones with the patterns, hands down. I love this so much. And I also like the squiggles, and I like that it is very pale and very beautiful and sort of delicate, whereas these ones are definitely full on polka dots. So I think this is my absolute favorite, and I will go and sew something with this as soon as I'm finished here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Like this video if it helped you out, it will help me out too, and subscribe if you want to see more. So thank you so much for being here, and thanks for watching. I'll see you soon. Bye!